Yeah, I was going to ask maybe Nina McCoy if you could put her on. She would take the stand. Just a half a dozen questions.
Oh, Nina McCoy.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct under penalty of perjury? Please sit down.
Would you please state your full name and address for the record, please?
I'm Nina McCoy, and I live in Inez, Kentucky.
Then what are you presently employed?
No, I'm a retired school teacher.
Okay. And are you married? Are you the spouse of Nikki McCoy?
I am.
And is Mr. McCoy a member of the Martin County Board of Education?
Yes.
Now, do you hold a position in Martin County Concerned Citizens?
Well, I am essentially the chairman of the Martin County Concerned Citizens.
You're the chief concerned citizen. Well, I guess you had an article or an op-ed or something in a newspaper a week or so ago that I read, and then I've also read all of the comments, public comments, that were filed in the rate case that we'll have in just a few minutes, and in this case. We also take local newspapers, and so I've seen for the last 3 months all of the articles that Mr. Ball and others have written, and also Lisa Staten, the owner of the paper, right, has basically filed her written comments in this case. And what I was trying to accomplish by talking to you was to find out if you had a sense or an understanding of what your group's position was on various issues that we have to consider. Now, I know it's like any large group of people. Some people will advocate A, others will want B. Some will be against anything everybody else wants, no matter what.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So, but for instance, I had seen that Lisa Staten had sent a comment basically indicating that whatever the PSC does, don't let anybody sell our water tank. So she's a pro-water tank person. Does your organization have a specific position on the water tank?
I can't say that our organization has a specific position, no. I would say that this is more along the lines of each person has a view of it. And, personally, I see it as a Martin County asset on Martin County land, which could provide something to Martin County. That's what we were promised when we got that prison. I mean, nobody said, yeah, let's take a prison just because we want to be nice people. It's obviously something that we thought was going to add to the business part of the county. And so that was something that we hoped would be a way that we could sell water to them.
Now, but I don't know if it's correct or not, but Mr. Campbell indicated that to date, since the prison opened, the Martin County Water District had only been able to supply its quota of water about 40% of the time.
And I can't attest to that either, because obviously I've not been privy to what the water district does or doesn't do, can or cannot do. I have tried to, in the past, ever since 2000, I've tried to figure out why our water plant is in such a mess. I've written several letters. I have went to many meetings with EPA, the Agency for Toxic Substances, various groups, and the National Academy of Sciences. I've been to many different things, and I've tried in many different ways to figure out why we keep hearing that there's $3 million that Martin County didn't get. Oh, what about that $1 million that Martin County was supposed to get for a sewer plant back in 2000? And I don't know where it goes. And I think that that's why this has been so important to us, is that we have finally had a chance to hear this. The citizens have finally been able to hear what is happening with some of the assets that are ours.
Well, you made, I gather from your article and other things I've read, that you and perhaps others have made inquiries into, generically, where did the money go? All right? Have you ever been successful in finding out where the money went? I know somebody had a comment, I mean, you know how it is, that the $3 million, where did the $3 million go? So-and-so, all we know is so-and-so bought an election, bought a Lexus, moved to Ohio and bought a farm.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know what all that came from, but
I don't know. I've heard they went to Florida. I don't know.
Oh, Florida.
Well, that makes more sense.
It does, it does.
Trying to figure out why somebody would go to Ohio, but I wasn't sure.
You never know. Yeah. I was going to say maybe they went to Dayton, but they wouldn't need a job, right, if they got that guy. Insofar as the operation of Martin County Water District is concerned, we have had Gary Ball, for instance, wrote a comment, as have a number of others, and Mr. Balls may have been qualified by, he wanted information pursuant to an open records request or something, but a number of people have said, put the PSC ought to put Martin County Water District into receivership. They'll never get out of the hole. The only chance we'll have is let a receiver come in and do something. Does Martin County Concerned Citizens as an organization have a position relative to whether or not the water district ought to go into receivership?
I can't say that we have a definite position. Everybody has a different idea. And, if you just check Facebook, you hear the different ideas. Now, the people who show up at the meetings, that's a whole different category of people. And the people who showed up at last night's meeting were very interested in finding out how we could have our water plant that did what we wanted it to do. So it all depends on which meeting you go to or whether you just check Facebook.
Is it your impression or opinion that insofar as at least the activists who attend meetings of the Martin County Concerned Citizens, that all else being equal, they would prefer Martin Countyans to run their own water system?
I would have to say that yes, that we do have a pride in our county enough to where we feel like it can be done. And yes, we would like to have some control over our own water system.
Although I take it that you recognize for at least the past 15 years or so, your water system hasn't been run very well. Do you agree with that?
I do.
I mean, you and the Martin County Concerned Citizens are the people who have been up in arms demanding that something be done about it, correct?
Right.
So
Correct.
why is it that you think that, or have some reason to believe that the Martin County Water District now can cure all of these problems when it didn't do anything to stop these problems from existing in the past?
I think people had just given up hope. I just think that it had gotten so bad, and we've had, I know a number of people who have moved out of the county saying, there's nothing you can do with this county. And so I think a lot of the people had given up hope. But when they saw that some of us were coming together and that the new board seemed to have an interest in the actual community itself and not just what can I get out of this, then I think that they started to feel like there was something.
Now, insofar as I know there have been various opinions about what the water quality is water quality different in one part of Martin County from another, or is the water quality consistent?
I think it's very different. And I think that's because of breakages. If you've seen the brown water, and if you've seen, it has to go through different tanks, up hills, over different places, and it has so many different differences as it goes. I think that some people have a much greater concern. I live in Inez, very close to the reservoir. So it's different for me. My water did not go out. But those people who have had brown water and have had their water turned off, leaks, those people have a greater concern. I'm here to represent those people.
Okay, so some sections of the county have serious water problems, but at least insofar as Inez is concerned, you live there and you haven't experienced those difficulties yourself.
Well, as far as drinking the water,
Well, that was the next question, but go ahead, you can anticipate.
yeah, as far as drinking the water, I have not felt good about that since we were told that the water plant wasn't up to par in 2000, April of 2001. We had, that the water plant was near, ability to actually just take care of water. It was not able to do that. So we've been feeling that for a long time. And of course, all of the notices of violations that we get, obviously we have all been suspect of the water. And we have tried to deal with division of water. We've tried to go through different sources. Look what's happening here. And then they just say, well, everything seems to be fine now. And just pat us on the head and push us away. So
Were you satisfied with their explanations?
no, we just buy bottled water.
But you drink bottled water. You don't drink water from the system and haven't in a number of years, correct?
And then now supposedly they just moved where they put the chlorine in, and ta-da, it's all better. I'll see. I don't know why they didn't tell them where to put the chlorine in 2001.
Do you feel better about the fact that Martin County concerned citizens have been given an opportunity to participate in these proceedings we've had at Public Service Commission?
I do. I think all the people feel very good about that.
The main issue, at least in the immediate future, that the Public Service Commission has to consider, and that's primarily in the next hearing or next proceeding, is this rate increase. Now, you can get access to some of these things online, just like because they're on our website, but to a man, woman, or child, no one, as far as I can recall, has ever filed a comment that wanted a rate increase of any amount, no amount. The problem with that, of course, is, as you've probably heard here and known from your education, training, and experience, nothing is free. And the grants from Appalachian Regional Commission or abandoned mine lands are devoted to one purpose, maybe fixing or trying to address some problems, but keeping Martin County Water District in operation, making the payroll, paying down the debts, has to come from the ratepayers. And the system has deteriorated to such an extent that now any rate increase has to be very high or it won't be effective. If the district over time had raised every few years a few percentage points, presumably infrastructure would have been replaced and rates would have been lower than they are now and certainly will be. What does your group, Martin County Concerned Citizens, feel as an organization about a rate increase of 50% or any rate increase at all?
Well, I just want you to think about the fact that who are you hearing from who's saying, I don't want a rate increase? Who am I here representing? I'm here representing the people you hear from. We're the payers. We're the people who pay. And you have already proven through various and sundry people not paying their bills, people buying cheap bars that are on the shelf. I mean, that's all been talked about just today. So when you're hearing that we don't think we should have to pay more, that's the people who have been paying all along. And we know that there are many people, and I have to say that this is a county-wide, county leader problem, water leader problem as well. Why didn't they go after those people before? $600,000 and nobody's asking them for the money? We didn't know that was that much. Why didn't, when you have people with cheater bars, why isn't that already something on your radar? We didn't know that. We're just the people who paid. So you're asking us to pay 50% more for the people who aren't going to call you. They're not going to write you letters because they're just hiding in the background waiting for us to pay for their water.
They're not paying now, right?
They're not paying.
Unfortunately, the people who've been paying don't you agree they have to continue to pay or the system can never be fixed?
And we've been doing it. We're the people that pay the bills. Yeah.
Well, my thought on it was that obviously something has to be done. And exercising our duties and public responsibilities will require us to do something, in my opinion at least, not only speaking only for me, to provide a rate increase. But people of Martin County have to be willing to accept it because there's no alternative, in my judgment, to it. And it's a shame that you and others have had to subsidize the people who won't pay their bills. And that's what it is. You're just subsidizing people who refuse to pay or who steal the water.
And that's why I think that Plan B that said that there would be a certain amount put there until some of the things are done, and some of the things that are done are supposed to be to make sure that everybody's hooked onto the water. And so, and then after a while, that amount would be off of our bill. So, I mean, at least it wouldn't be like, oh, from now on, we all have to pay more, and we're the people who were paying in the first place, when really what needs to be done is the money needs to be used to whatever money we get to make sure everybody's paying and everybody's equal for all.
Are you, and in your opinion, are members of Martin County Concerned Citizens generally satisfied with the present commissioners who've been appointed by Judge Callahan to the Martin County Water District Board?
I have only heard positive things about.
Now, the only other concern, and I see in the Lexington paper, you get these editorials, and only political, only use of the political process will help Martin County, or will help the Martin County Water District. As I understand it, maybe Judge Callahan isn't going to run for re-election. I don't know if he is or isn't, or if he's already filed. But if you had another county judge, executive, who wins election, is going to have to appoint, when some of these terms of these new people are up, there's no way of knowing who they'll appoint or whether they'll reappoint the same people, correct? Mm-hmm. All I'm saying is, if your group or if the citizens of Martin County are satisfied, they need to, when all this is said and done and settled down, you need to be active in making sure that you get proper representation on the Water District Board, whether it's reappointment or if it's somebody that wants somebody else. Because if you don't, you're going to be back in the same situation that you're in now in perpetuity.
And I think our people have finally realized that when we come out in numbers, that we get heard instead of just sitting in the back and just all talking amongst ourselves about how nasty the water is and how, well, Division of Water won't listen to us. But when we come out in big numbers, we're getting something done.
Okay, is there anything else you would like, any other opinions that you have personally or on behalf of the Martin County Concerned Citizens, anything that you would like to tell the Commission or like us to consider?
Well, I just think that it is very important that the new board understand that this is going to take a while. The trust is not there, and it's not just going to come because we have a new board. It's going to come because the board is willing to answer questions, is open to public forums, and I think that that is just very important for us to all remember. I don't think there was a threat at the last water board meeting, and I don't think there's going to be a threat. People are just wanting to ask questions.
Sometimes, as you know, or an attendee at Martin County School Board meetings. And most boards of education will have a few minutes in advance where people can sign up or speak. And sometimes you limit that to a number because you don't have enough time. But to give people an opportunity to relieve their frustrations, even if they aren't always, then somebody after the meeting, somebody could be assigned to talk to them or something. But I understand what you're saying, and that's why I tried to communicate earlier to Mr. Kerr that if you don't do something like that or have some method of allowing that to happen, people lose confidence in you real quickly.
And it's just like even like questions that I wanted to ask were just to dispel rumors that I knew were false. And if I could have asked them and they were being filmed and sent out to people, then it could have dispelled a lot of rumors. So it's just very important that they be ready to answer questions that basically they may want to squelch something that's a lie. So.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
I just have one question before you step down. Chairman Schmidtt asked if the citizens of Martin County, concerned citizens of Martin County, preferred that the system be operated by the Martin County Water District, and I believe you said yes. And my question is, if it's a long-term solution that causes residents to suffer for some extended period of time, or any other solution provided more immediate relief, what would be the position of the concerned citizens? Would they want to suffer through the Martin County resolution on a long term, or if there was something else? I don't know what that something else is.
I would have to hear there's something else.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm clear on your position. So if this is an extended time frame, because your commissioners have already said it's going to be a long-term.
It sounded like even if it was receivership, it would still, prices go up extended time. So that's what I'm saying. I would have to hear your...
Well, it would have to be something like purchasing water from Prestonsburg or something like that, but you still got the line problem. There's nothing going to be short-term here, but there may be something that's shorter than long.
And Prestonsburg would be supplying it to those of us who are getting it pretty regular.
There's going to be no cross-examination. Do you have anything, Commissioner Mann?
I just wanted to kind of look at the math. And I understand frustration with you've paid your bill and you have $637,000 worth of people that haven't. That sounds like it's a lot of money to me. I'm going to assume it's a lot of money to any one individual. But likely from the problems that this water system has, even if they've been collecting those, they'd still be asking you for a rate increase. It's just, these are big problems and they're probably longer terms.
Thank you very much.
Can I?
She wasn't an official witness.